Hi gang. Lesson 34. I could see peace instead of this. This lesson is referred to a lot by course teachers because it is a classic. I could see peace instead of this could be your entire practice of A Course in Miracles. It addresses everything. The Course is about attaining inner peace through an undoing process. It's nothing we have to strive for. It's the outcome of recognizing who and what we already are. I could see peace instead of this is the antidote to fear. And fear is simply not love. So to review some Course concepts, love is what we are. That is a state of mind. Fear is an illusion, but while we believe in ourselves as individuals, we have to start to realize that we are living in a state of fear. Now, we may already know that we've been anxious and distressed and depressed, and which is a form of anxiety. We know that. We know if our lives aren't going well. We know if we're suffering. Even if we tend to minimize our own suffering, we know that we are just not enjoying life and that we need help. But that's different than understanding that the basis of the ego is fear. And as long as we identify with the ego, we will always feel afraid and guilty. Because the ego bases its existence on sin, guilt, and fear. That is how it survives. That is how it maintains the illusion of existence. The ego doesn't really exist. It's a dream. We don't have to get too deeply into that because we're using our individual life, we're using our body and our relationships and this planet Earth as a classroom to experience the reflection of God's love, because the direct brightness of God's love would be too intense. It would actually be too frightening. That at first we allow the Holy Spirit to buffer God's love, and we accept the reflection of God's love in this world, and then we serve as a conduit for that love. And we're living our same daily life with a completely different attitude, a shift in perception. And we bounce back and forth all day long between being an ego self, which is the state that we're habituated to, and we fall back into it very easily, and choosing again, and asking to receive guidance, to be a conduit for loving light, that sort of request. So in this lesson 34, I could see peace instead of this, we're told, search your mind for fear thoughts, anxiety-provoking situations, offending personalities or events, or anything else about which you are harboring unloving thoughts. To reiterate, fear thoughts have to be unloving. A love thought has no fear in it. You can apply I could see peace instead of this to specific situations that upset you, to events that upset you, to people that upset you, to obsessions, compulsions, to anything and everything. It says to use it when we're tempted. The shorter applications are to be frequent and made whenever you feel your peace of mind is threatened in any way. The purpose is to protect yourself from temptation throughout the day. Let's talk about temptation. The Course uses the word magic, idols, and temptation interchangeably. Temptation is anything that we succumb to that reinforces that we are a separate self. Magic reinforces that we're a separate self, and idols reinforce that there is no God and that we have to exist as a separate self. Magic is everything, from the very air we breathe to using something to comfort us, like a relationship or food or gambling, whatever it might be. Magic, idols, they're replacements for turning to God. Temptation is a replacement for turning to God. It's allowing the ego seduction to go on and on and on. The ego seduces us with certain pleasures to distract us from its biggest flaw, which is that there is nothing to be afraid of. There is actually nothing to be afraid of. Who was it? Roosevelt, who said, the only thing to fear is fear itself. Or Churchill. Who was it? That's true, that the only thing to fear is fear itself. When we get to the bottom of fear, all we will find is love and light. And Lesson 34 helps us get there. It reminds me of step 10 in 12-step programs. The 10th step says, let me get it correct. The 10th step says, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. I could see peace instead of this is a way of taking personal inventory and saying to ourselves, I just chose to get angry at this other person, and I only get angry when I'm actually afraid. I could choose peace instead of this. Holy Spirit, help me deal with this person a different way. Help me see how to interact in a new and different way, a better way. It's so important to acknowledge what is frightening us, to say it out loud to ourselves, to journal and write it down. This ongoing process of acknowledgement goes hand in hand with being able to choose peace rather than whatever it is that's upsetting you. Acknowledgement means to state aloud to yourself, I feel afraid, I feel angry, I am thinking that I am at the mercy of this institution, of this person, of this addiction. Bottom line, the only addiction we really have is that we're addicted to the ego. We're addicted to a sense of separate self. So acknowledge that. Allow yourself to know that. That is the elephant in the room that we are all avoiding. And when we get the hang of simply addressing that the elephant is there, the ego is there, our attachment to the ego is there, our replacing God with the ego is there. Yes, we're doing that. When we become more matter-of-fact about replacing God with the ego, that's when, paradoxically, the ego starts to unhook. We unhook from it. There's an expression, as we get healthy, our bad habits give us up. As we get healthy, our bad habits give us up. As we choose the Holy Spirit as our teacher, the ego gives us up. It just can't stick to us anymore. It's like we become Teflon. Because we keep choosing peace, we're relentless about choosing peace. And what happens is that little by little, we have more and more peace. Apply it to everything. And we'll meet again tomorrow. Namaste.